Some of the oldest trees in Quebec are dying. People walk right past and don't even notice. A tiny beetle no larger than a few millimeters is changing the face of our city. Today we're meeting with one of our city's leading tree experts to learn how to spot the signs and hear what's happening to our trees in Quebec. To find out what's really happening to our trees, we've come to meet a local expert, Chris Hay, to tell us more. Chris has spent a lifetime caring for our trees in our city, and there's no one better to share the information and learn about what's happening. Welcome everyone. This is Chris Hay, our local horticulturist. He worked at the Nelson Mandela Bay
for 46 years.
Municipality for 46 years. And Chris, tell us, how did you get involved with Shot Hole Borer?
Well, I came across an article on going through Facebook and thing, and the Shot Hole Borer first arrived here in 2012, but it was only identified in 2017.
Okay.
That pricked my interest, and I was nearing retirement age, so I thought, well, let me see if I could find any around PE. But one set of eyes is always difficult, and up until 2024, when I was brought a sample, that was when we found it for the first time in PE.
Chris, tell us what's going on with this.
This is a very good example of Shot Hole Borer. This is a erythrina, the coral tree, indigenous to South Africa. And if you can look here closely, you can see all these little holes.
Hundreds of holes.
Hundreds of holes. That's where the Shot Hole Borer gets its name. And the holes are always round. They're never oblong or any other shape.
Yeah.
And the holes are 1 millimeter in diameter.
Yeah.
There's stories about it being 2.5 millimeters. It's absolutely nonsense. The holes are 1 millimeter, and I use a pin either next to the hole or in the hole with a little bit of wiggle room, because a pin is between 0.6 and 0.8 of a millimeter. So it gives me an opportunity to take a pin like this, and you can stick it into a hole and you get a little bit of wiggle room, and it gives you some idea of the size. Now, if people take pictures of borers on their trees, on their property or wherever, and they want to send it away somewhere, one of the things they need to do is put something next to the hole that gives somebody who knows an idea of the size of the hole. Holes are 1 millimeter, maybe 0.1 up or down, even maybe 0.2, but no bigger than that.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that you look for on the tree. Once you've seen dieback on it, because that's a good example, is you can take a tree over there, and we can take a walk there.
Yeah, let's have a look at that. So Chris, this tree is infected and in the early stages of decline.
Yes. And you can see the dieback, and you'll notice if you look at the moffat, there's lots of dieback on these trees.
Yeah.
That's normally the first sign.
Right.
Once you've seen the dieback, then you must also keep in mind we've had a very bad drought, and some of the trees are not recovering from the drought. So because you've got dieback doesn't mean you've got Polyphagous Borer in it. So you need to then go the next step, which is to take away the outer bark and look for holes, as I mentioned, 1 millimeter in diameter, roughly, closely to that. And once you do that, we can do a sampling somewhere, because these trees don't show the signs that I want to show you.
Okay.
You'll get a lot of people tell you that look for the weeping. There's no weeping on these trees. Not a sign. Now, I've seen it in the English oaks, where one tree will weep badly, and you can say, oh, okay, that should be Polyphagous. The tree next to it has got it, but there's no weeping at all.
Right.
I saw that in George with the big old trees. Some of them showed signs of weeping. Some of them didn't even have lots of little holes. They just had a hole there and a hole there. Trees are stone dead. They've got skeletons throughout George.
heartbreaking.
Yeah. This one, you find the fungus when you cut a sample off a nice fresh thing. This is old. You get the black staining in the tunnels.
Yes.
And around the hole you get staining. That's a very good sign that the tree has already got the fungus in.
Yeah. This is catastrophic. These trees are so beautiful every spring when they flower.
See, the fungus, the Fusarium fungus doesn't live in dead wood. It dies.
Okay.
The other two funguses that they bring for food, they live on in dead wood, and that sustains the beetle that are left when the tree is dead.
Wow.
Okay, so the Fusarium is, you've got the funguses that are food, which is what the female brings in to the tree.
Yes.
And it's a fungus that blocks the vascular system and kills the tree, causing the dieback and eventually total
So
death.
the other two fungi are not the killers, it's the Fusarium
That's
wipes
it. The Fusarium is the fungus. You see, there is now, you can see the dark stain in that tunnel.
Yes.
That's a sign of the fungus.
Yeah.
But the fungus dies in this thing. And one of the things too that a lot of the people who don't know get upset about is they think that this beetle is going to get into the rafters in their house.
Yes.
This beetle doesn't go into dead wood. It survives in dead wood with the other two funguses that it brings as food.
Because traditionally borer attack dead wood.
Yeah.
But this one is distinctly different.
Yeah.
And that's the trouble, is it attacks live wood.
Yeah. So the female will only go into live wood. She won't bore into dead wood. And it's actually very sad because we're going to lose the thing over there. There are, at the bottom, in the center island, there are Celtus. I don't know if they are Afrikaner or Sinensis. I am guessing that most of them will be Sinensis.
Yeah.
It is a tree you can plant. They seem to be, there's talk that they are survivable.
And that's what we need to gather, a list of the surviving trees.
Yeah, but there is no guarantee that the beetle's not going to get into it. And in my own opinion, and I think Paul Barker in Cape Town agrees with me, that once this beetle has finished eating its normal menu, it's going to look around it's going to be an opportunist killer. It's going to find something else to eat. I know in Australia, your mirror bush, your Caprosba, is already being tackled by it. Yeah. So there is lots of problems coming up. This is my toolbox. Here's a good example of Polyphagous. Okay, I've got a bit of fungus on there, but you can see the holes. You can see all the blackness thing. And this is the challenge that you have with this beetle, because the beetle you can kill with normal household sprays. It will kill the beetle.
Right.
Okay. But the trouble is, there's guys trying to sell these buckets with injection needles and what have you that they put into the holes, and they pump in things like cepromethin and other insecticides. They only get about a 30% kill.
Okay.
So, and common sense should tell you that if the beetle's in the tree and the fungus is already in the tree, why are you wanting to bump off the beetle and put insecticide into it when you can't cure the fungus?
It's too late.
It's too late. So people I know there was a school in Grahamstown that spent a fortune on these things and the tree still died. So this is a sample that I got. Here's another one where you can see, if you take this, the blackness is worn off a little bit here, but you can see how far the beetle goes into the tree.
Right. So this is the vascular system of the tree that it follows.
Yeah, and then it bores in, and then the vascular system runs around and sucks it up, and then it blocks the vascular system, and that's where the dieback comes in.
And the tree can't function.
Yeah. Also, make sure they're not walking. There is a good example.
So such a tiny little insect.
It's a size. It's actually a little bit smaller than a sesame seed, but you can commonly say it's the same size as a sesame seed.
Sesame seed, yeah.
And that looks like a female over there. You can see this looks like a bit of a wing on it. Only the female flies.
Right.
And she can't fly far. There's lots of arguments as to whether she can fly 100 meters or 300 meters. Some people even say 400 meters. But in Port Elizabeth, she only needs to fly 50 meters. She gets up high enough and the wind takes her, she'll be at Bird Island. English oak, you can see the holes. The thing, I was here yesterday and I actually looked for, I think it might be the next tree. I took a sample off. You see, what you would normally do on a live tree, dead wood is always a problem. So what you really have to do is you take a chisel and you would just take off the outer bark and try and look for a hole. And then the first thing you look for when you get the hole of the right size is the staining around the hole.
Chris, let's start at the beginning. How did this beetle get to South Africa? Where does it come from?
Okay, it comes from Southeast Asia. Its natural habitat is there. I believe there isn't a natural predator for it.
Right.
I haven't done much homework in that line, but I've been reading scholarly articles and they are working in this country on something. But it comes from Southeast Asia. They are thinking it came through on untreated pellets.
Right.
And that was at the Durban Botanical Gardens. So we talk about Durban Harbour. And
was that its point of entry, do we think?
That's a point of entry, they think.
Yeah.
It was first seen in 2012. It was identified in 2017. I think it was identified by Pretoria University. I am not clear on that, but somebody identified it. And they actually identified it by doing DNA testing on it.
Right.
The small beetle, they do DNA testing. It's the one way to guarantee that you know you've got polyphagous is to have a sample beetle and you send it away. Other than that, looking at all the signs, you can only be 98% okay, it's got polyphagous.
Yeah.
But the beetle is a requirement. An interesting fact about the beetle being a thing is in summer when it gets hot, between 12 and 2,
yeah,
there's a good chance that you will find the beetles walking around on the outside of the tree, which you can then get a sample from.
Yeah.
Okay, that I've picked that up in a number of areas.
Is there a difference between its activity through summer and winter?
Yeah, it doesn't like the cold weather. That's why Europe, especially the northern parts of Europe, don't really have a problem with it. But yeah. Europe is in the lower areas where it's warm Mediterranean
yes.
climate. They've got a big problem with it.
Right.
And now, interesting thing about Europe are doing experiments with a systemic insecticide and a systemic fungicide. They are only doing experiments at this stage. In South Africa, there is no cure for the fungicide. And one of the things that needs to be raised is that in South Africa, it is illegal to use fungicide, herbicide, insecticide on insects or fungus or plants that where it's not registered.
Right.
Okay, it's a very big thing. So, people often ask me about that and I say, well, I can't really recommend because at the moment there's nothing registered in South Africa. While the beetle, I know I've used household spray, kills the beetle. In the tree this size, you can't get enough poison into it anyway to kill the tree.
It's
so
and
if the fungus is there, you're wasting your time.
Right. Chris, here we are at another English oak. I noticed that while we were driving around the city, we went along all the main arterial routes to the city. Is this how the easiest way for the beetle to spread, with tree felling, briarwood, and as it's driven down through the city, it spreads to the suburbs?
Yes, that is one of the problems that we have. I have spoken to the municipality to try and get them to organize. One of the requirements that they need to do is to organize a site where this wood can be dropped off. And of course, traveling with the wood is a problem because beetles will leave the tree. Once you've cut it up, you're going to have beetles loose. And the females, then the males don't fly, but the females will fly and find a new host.
So if this is my tree and I need it felled, I call a tree feller, and what do I ask him?
Okay, first of all, there are only 3 tree fellers that I'm aware of in Port Elizabeth. I have spoken to tree fellers in general, just stopping and having a chat to them. They haven't got a clue of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They just cut trees, that's their livelihood, and that's it.
So now, what do I ask my tree feller if he has experience with shot hole borer, and how should he, if I had to cut it down myself, how would I handle it? What do we do? Do we chip it?
You can burn the wood. I personally think that burning it is not a proposition because you first of all need to get permission from the fire department, which is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Secondly, once you start a fire in anything, the beetles are going to try and leave. So you're going to get females flying off.
Yeah.
They are saying that you can kill them with what they call solarizing. In other words, you take the debris and you cover it with a black top. Unfortunately, a tree this size, most people won't have a black top.
Yeah.
So you can use, I've used samples and put them in the sun in a black bag, and that kills the beetles, the high heat, very high heat. There is talk down in the Western Cape that chipping the wood with a wood chipper to the size of 25 mil kills something in the region of 95% of the beetles.
Right.
When you take a bit of, I was here yesterday, I took this bit of bark off. You can see the staining around the hole. That's a fusarium. That's a sign that there is fungus. If the hole is clean, then you can sort of say, and the hole is not 1 millimeter, you can sort of say, well, it's some other borer. There are thousands of species of borer in South Africa, and I've been given the figure of 6,000 species, but I'm not sure of that. But there are thousands of species of borer. There's big ones and little ones, and this is the one you worry about. You can look here too. You can see where I think there again is the staining.
Chris, would this be an example of the weeping that does sometimes happen with some of the trees?
Yes and no. You get coloration, but normally you find that the weeping, it's oozing out resin out of it, and it will look very much like that, not as black.
And between species, they all have different trees, have different. If they're going to weep, they weep differently, and even within the same species, they weep differently.
That's correct. Some will weep badly. Avocado trees, they make sugar fountains.
Yeah.
The worst case I've seen was in warmer Miramar, where the lady there asked me to look at a tree, and the tree was just full of sugar fountains, and it was an English elm.
Yes.
And really bad. Mm. So it varies from tree to tree. My river indigo at home wept. You get this, you can see it oozing out of the thing, and that was the first sign that picked. But some trees are very difficult to guarantee you've got polyphagous. Coral tree is one of them. It doesn't show signs. You get the dieback on it, and you really need to get a ladder and cut that area off to see if there's any staining and tunnels and what have you.
But as we saw, by the time it's way too late, and by the time it's infected, it is too late, and by the time it's dead, you can really, we saw the evidence on those coral trees.
That's right.
Absolutely devastating.
Yeah, very much so. I actually picked up these trees last year. A chap that I know asked me to have a look at his yellowwood.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the yellowwood, and the yellowwood had a little bit of weeping, but I couldn't really see any signs there.
Yeah.
But he had an oak there that was fraught with, with just one branch.
Yeah.
And it was full of beetles. So I'm assuming that his yellowwood is going to go.
So yellowwoods are vulnerable as well.
Yeah, yellowwoods are vulnerable. There is a list. We can add that list to it. But there are tree varieties that people are looking at now. Your celtus, your water pear,
Yes.
your keurboom. There's a few. And it's not to say that the beetle won't attack these trees, but these are trees that people are experimenting with in the Western Cape,
Yes.
very much so. And everybody is looking for something the beetles don't eat.
Yeah.
There's an interesting article that I got from Paul Barker, where they are actually looking at the hardness of the wood and the beetle. As to some trees that are very hard wood, the beetle doesn't seem to want to go there. You know,
Because what we've looked at
beetle.
are often very softwood trees.
That's right.
So they're the most vulnerable.
Looks like they're the most vulnerable. But that's still in a let's say a experimental stage.
And Chris, what can we do about it? If we've got an infected tree, is there any cure? Is there anything we can do?
There's no cure. If you take my place, I have an avocado pear tree, and I look at it every day. But I have a huge batch of clivias around it, and I use a systemic insecticide for the worms that tackle my clivias.
Right.
My avocado pear tree, the woman behind me, the lady behind me, has got a coral tree that's infected. I had, within 3 meters of my avo tree and my clivias, I had a river indigo that was infected. But I had a second river indigo that was quite close to the avo tree.
Yes.
And the insecticide I'm using, I'm guessing, because it wasn't touched. And the river indigos were basically planted at the same time.
Yeah.
Same size. The one was fraught with bloody, what do you call it, polyphagous, and the other one hasn't been touched. So that is something, but as I said earlier, keep in mind using chemicals on unregistered insects, you're putting yourself out there it's illegal.
Chris, there are famous trees in South Africa. One of my favorite places to visit is Stellenbosch in the Western Cape. And Stellenbosch is famous for its oaks, and oaks are on the hit list.
Very much so, and they're taking a lot of strain down in the Western Cape, especially Stellenbosch, Paarl area. I've seen polyphagous in the Tipuwanatipu down there. A lot of their oaks have got it. The beetles, as I said earlier, in winter seem to be not that active.
Yeah.
But as soon as the weather warms up, it starts
out to play.
again. And of course, that's when you can pick up the dieback on the trees, because the trees are all sprouting new leaves and what have you.
Who's made it and who's not.
That's right. And then you can pick up, because it's dieback doesn't always happen to the whole tree.
Yeah.
Very often it's just one branch, but that's a start.
Yeah. As alarming as this looks, it's not alarming at all, is it? It's just nature's way of dealing with a dead tree.
Yes, that's just nature's way of doing it. You know, one of the things that always worried me when I was working is the gum trees in warmer.
Yeah.
Because when you get fungus like this is the fruiting stage. The fungus is already in the tree. And in warmer, one of the key elements that I looked at, if it was fungusing at the base and coppicing at the base, the gum trees, then I would always look very closely at them, because then they're becoming dangerous. Because the fungus gets into the roots, and the roots rot away, and then you get a bit of a calm day, but a little bit of a breeze, and suddenly the tree falls over and become dangerous.
So with so many trees dying, one of the risks is the danger of trees falling.
Oh, yes.
and this huge cost to society to have to remove these trees.
Oh, very much so. I mean, this is the challenge that I think the municipality has, is that when the trees, especially on the verge, that have polyphagous in them, they've got to keep an eye on them.
Yes.
Because especially like the coral tree, which is soft wood,
Yeah.
they get rot in them, and you suddenly get huge branches falling over. And if they land on a car, I think we had one of my colleagues was killed by a gum tree.
I remember that, yeah.
In Buffelsfontein Road.
And that was a healthy tree that fell
Yeah,
over.
just fell
And he
over.
happened to be driving down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge. So, and I mean, if you've got a dangerous tree on the verge and on your property, there's damage to your house, damage to people on the property. On the verge, you've got cars going past, and if the tree has been reported as dangerous and you've done nothing about it from the municipal aspect, or even a private aspect, you're leaving yourself open for litigation.
Correct.
That's as simple as that. So it's scary.
Chris, we want to get this into everybody's minds because we want to create awareness with this video. What is the official name for this little beetle?
Polyphagous Shot Hole Borer. And keep in mind that South Africa have their own shot hole borer, but
Right.
it doesn't bring the fungus with it.
And it's the fungus that kills the tree.
And it's the fungus that kills the tree. The beetle is just the carrier. So yes, it's a cause, but the beetle itself doesn't kill the tree.
Yeah.
The fungus is the problem. This beautiful coral tree, it's going to go. Had a look at it yesterday, very difficult to think, no weeping as such. You get little weeping like that, but there's no real signs on that. This is a type of things you would look at. Somebody asked me the other day, how long does it take for a tree to die?
Yes.
It's a grey area. The first one that I came up with, the second one I came across in Lily Avenue, it was still battling on after 2 years. So
there's nothing.
it's
there's
just
nothing typical about any of this.
No, some of them can be quick. Some of them.
Would you say if a tree is particularly vulnerable from maybe it's not doing very well, or it's suffered from drought, or it's suffered from just not doing well, is it more vulnerable to shot hole? A very healthy tree
I would think
would
so.
be less vulnerable?
I would say so. You often find that when a tree, especially if you look at something like your coral trees,
Yeah.
the borers love them. So you get hundreds of bark borers that are in the coral tree, and
Perfectly normal.
It's perfectly normal, and the tree starts battling and suffering, and then along comes shot hole borer, and that's the nail in the coffin.
Right.
Yes, a tree that is battling is very much going to be susceptible to shot hole borer.
Because if we look at this beautiful tree that we're trying to understand whether it has or hasn't got shot hole borer, the tree right behind it is clearly a victim.
Yeah. No, very much so.
Chris, thank you for joining us today and taking us through Polyphagous Shot Hole Borer and its effects on trees. And what could you tell us? What's the positive news? Is there any?
The government are working on a biocontrol. A tree might take anywhere up to 2 years. At this stage, we don't know. Some I've seen have taken about 2 years to die completely. I would suggest that you cut the tree down. That would help with the spread. If you can pay for somebody with a chipper to chip the wood into small pieces like 25 mils, you can kill a lot of the beetles. If it's just a small branch, you can chop that branch off and solarize it with a black bag or top. Or if not, cut the wood up and use it as briarwood at your property and not dish it out to friends.
Spread it around, yeah.
And spread it around. And the other exercise that is being a young tree if you see it's got Polyphagous Shot Hole Borer in one of the branches, you can cut that branch off close to the trunk, or cut even the tree down to a stump, and hopefully, and I'm saying hopefully, but the Fusarium fungus which kills the tree won't be down at root level, and the tree can resucker and regrow.
You spoke about the potential of plants becoming resistant to the fungus. Is that obviously a very long term and only a potential?
Yeah, look, I look at it from the point of view is the Phoenix canariensis, the canary owl palm. It also had not the same Fusarium, but Fusarium variety.
Yes.
That was doing the same thing. It was causing dieback, and the palms would die.
Right.
I spoke to Dr. Koch in Pretoria years ago when I was still working in the municipality. I went up there. There's no cure for the Fusarium, but she said to me it is possible that some of the trees would survive, build up a resistance. And a good example would be 8th Avenue Warmer. There used to be 8 canariensis around the old Service Star, which is now Builders Express. And if you drive past there, you'll see there's one palm standing. It's built up a resistance. It didn't die. The other 7 are all gone.
So there is hope.
Yeah.
Please remember that there's one way you can support our channel. If you like and subscribe and share our videos, that teaches the algorithm to send our message out to more and more people. See you next week for our next installment.